Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Rufio Phoenix, and I hope you will enjoy another thought log slash commentary with me. Let's get into it. All right, so have you ever heard of conditioned responses? What does that mean? For example, I'm going to take MGTOW for an example. This is a conditioned response to feminism abusively mistreating men for the past 100 years. Feminism is a conditioned response to political aggregation of otherwise um, a complaint about the political ability that women had, or fiscal abilities that women had, or birth or bodily control, bodily function, measures, stuff like that. They still argue and fight over this, but only because they were conditioned by another woman to respond in such a manner. If they weren't, they wouldn't even acknowledge it. Thus, a conditioned response. Another conditioned response is, I guess, the Trump derangement syndrome, whatever they're calling that. In fact, that would be a conditioned response, a liberal conditioned response to, I guess, warmongering, hate mongering, fear mongering, and whoremongering, literally everything that capitalist pigs do. And when I say capitalist pigs, I mean the kind of capitalists that will say everybody is slop and they're the boar going to eat the slop. That's cannibalizing your own people, you disgusting piece of garbage. Anyway, moving on. That's also a conditioned mutt level response. And where do I come to this kind of concept? See, there's a set of books called The Hunger Games, and there are movies that go with them as well, though I definitely admit you should probably go read the books. There's a lot more in the books than are in the movies. However, there is a sequence in these books in The Mockingjay where the character Peta, the assistant to the main role, Katniss Everdeen, ends up going and getting basically brainwashed by Snow into basically a neurological mutt as a human being, thinking that he has to eliminate Katniss, like unalive her, to be able to stop whatever's going on against Snow and this corrupt political value that we call that in the book is referenced as a country known as Pan America. Here's the issue with conditioned responses. They aren't really your response. They are a response that you've been taught to give over the course of your life as a core memory that will almost never get overwritten unless you physically and consciously, psychologically decide otherwise, and then thus choose actively and willfully of your own free will to live that expectation, irregardless and unconditionally, to what anyone else says, does, or expects of you. That is the difference between a conditioned response and an actual response. An actual response will usually come from a human being with a form of information drop that basically drops the mic on their candy ass. Whereas a conditioned response would be usually in the ball field of three main premises. Either one, it's an expectation they have of you that they try to use over you as a sense of mind control, or it comes down to a sense of sensory deprivation, which leads to something that can lead an opening to the first one, or it comes down to an emotional and neurological, in other words, educational information. Your brain needs nourishment like you need food, so having one session a day for an hour where you look up new information on the internet is, of course, a beautiful thing. Trump doesn't want that happening. YouTube algorithm effectively probably doesn't want that happening because they want you useful, mindless, automatous, and controllable, obedient slaves. They want you to be an obedient, mindless automaton. You are a human being. You were always meant for more than that. But that's what your political powers want from you as people worldwide. Look at Japan, look at China, look at Russia, look at Ukraine, look at France, look at England, look at Ireland, look at America. It's everywhere. It's not just, oh, the libs. No, it's not just, oh, the conservatives. No, it's not just, oh, this, oh, that. It's everybody at this point has been positionally divided by conditioned responses. Y'all need to unlearn what it is you have learned and replace it with better information that actually fixes you in a natural a natural symbiosis with the world around you. Peace. The fucking book comes out. I hope this helped. Stay awesome, ninja. Drink coffee, be awesome, be excellent. I'm having a monster tonight because I just don't give a fuck anymore. Anyway, peace. Stay awesome, ninja, and I'll catch you in another video. Motherfucker.